All right, good evening. It's Tuesday, October 1st, and this is the Pownell Parks and Rec Committee regular meeting. I'm Jen Boucher, and so I'll do member roll call starting with Nate.
Nathan Powell.
Brian Harris.
Brian Pappas.
Okay. We'll start off with approval of the agenda, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, I circulated the August and September meeting minutes before the meeting. So for August, in attendance was Jennifer, Brian, and Brian. And for September, it was Jennifer and Nate at the hike. So if you've had a time to review those, I will entertain a motion to approve the August minutes.
I make a motion to approve the August minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. For the September meeting minutes, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Sure, I'll move to approve them.
And I will second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
With that, we'll move to old business, which starts off with grants and municipal planning grant, a status update. So we just attended, or Nate, Brian Harris, and Jennifer were just in attendance at the Planning Commission meeting where BCRC gave an update on their survey results for the municipal planning grant. That's some very interesting results. And the next steps with that are that they will be putting together a number of recommendations with respect to strategy and policy, potential funding, and they will be giving a final presentation in the November timeframe. So that's what's coming up next.
So they didn't make a formal recommendation today. They just gave out what they heard from the folks and, okay, right.
Yep. And they demonstrated, to me, a very robust process. They had over 100 survey results. They did several in-person, I guess, hosting events, whether it's Celebrate Pownell Day or other places. They did, I think it was 6 of those. And they had face-to-face discussions or in-person discussions, one-on-one discussions with a number of constituencies. So it seemed to me like it was a very robust process. And I think we can have a lot of confidence in their findings. So that will be coming up in November timeframe is when that will wrap up. Are there any other questions on that or comments?
No.
Okay. Moving right along, the VOREC grant implementation updates and discussion. So since I think our meeting in August, we held the hike in September and we were joined by members of the Green Mountain Club. Since that time, I'll let Nate talk a little bit, but he was able to do a hike with the Taconic Hiking Club or a representative from Taconic Hiking Club. So maybe you could just chat about that a little.
Yeah, so David is like he sort of manages the trail maintenance crew, which is, I think, largely volunteers. That's Taconic, sort of they maintain each, there are little groups of people that maintain each little piece of it. So yeah, we really sort of the center of the discussion was about like, how do we make this Taconic Crest connection happen? And sort of one of the big concerns that sort of I had heard via Jennifer from, I think it was the county forester or something out there, was that ATV, they're concerned that people are riding ATVs up through the woods there and then riding illegally on the trails. So they wanted to we started kind of talking about strategies for how we could try and kind of mitigate that. And I think really my biggest takeaway was he said that he thought the best way to approach this was actually to just really engage the sportsman community directly. Go to the Fish and Game Club, find some people who we know are like responsible hunters and outdoorsmen, and really like give them some ownership over the process and say, look, we want to create a space for you to be able to recreate that's like safe for you, safe for hikers. You probably know the trails better than we do. What do you think? And kind of get them to help us work on that process together. And the hope is that if we kind of show them that we want them to participate, they will in turn sort of create something they feel good about and then kind of help police, like sort of self-police to some degree, because they'll feel some sort of ownership over the project. So that combined with a gate, signage, like, a few other little measures here or there to try and kind of block trails a little bit. David was pretty confident that, like, as long as we could show that we had a real plan on how we were going to do that, he could then present that to the county forester for sort of approval to make that connection. And he seemed very supportive of the idea. Yeah.
Very,
As
very
you get
encouraging.
closer to the Taconic Crest Trail, how amenable is a train to ATVs?
It gets steeper, and the folks at the Green Mountain Club were saying that at least on the main artery, he didn't see a whole lot of evidence of people driving ATVs or dirt bikes above the Fish and Game Club there. I took a walk just the other day, and I was telling Jennifer, I think I turned left a little too soon, and I ended up walking off of the town property over towards it's like Darling and Burrington property. And I saw on the trail leading up to that on town forest land, a lot of evidence of mostly dirt bikes. I think ATVs would probably be hard. So that's folks that are likely starting in town land, going off of town land, and then connecting up like above the Palmer Farm over here, because those trails kind of head off in a totally different direction. So that's not to say that it's not happening somewhere in the town woods, because we haven't explored all trails by any stretch. But yeah, it does. It gets steep. It gets really steep really fast. There are places that were washed out. So certainly, like, my guess is there's one route that is sort of pretty mild that everybody's using if they're using it out of the town woods. So we just have to kind of figure out where that is. And it's honestly not too hard if you're out there to see evidence of people riding if they've done it recently. So I'm just kind of keeping my eyes out, taking pictures when I see sort of evidence of that stuff. But yeah, we haven't seen a whole lot of evidence up above the Fish and Game Club, which is good.
I just wanted to clarify that the Taconic Hiking Club sort of maintains the Taconic Crest Trail. The New York DEC.
DC, yeah.
DEC actually owns that. The whole other side is the state forest in New York, and the forester,
Right,
I think,
DEC.
is the DEC.
Yeah.
So that's who the Taconic Hiking Club will likely get back to and kind of converse about
Right.
some of our dialogue in that. So I was really encouraged.
Yeah, well, and just to sort of build on that, I think sort of what David said in terms of action items is once we get kind of a good map of where the trails are, where the possible connectors are, if we sort of overlay on that map where we think a gate might make sense, where we want to try and put signage, just sort of basically create like the outline of a plan of sort of what we want to do, where we might want the ATV trails. That, along with his recommendation, he said he thought would be plenty to sort of, it seems like DEC counts on him to sort of be in between these things, and like his recommendation, along with a little report from us, carries a lot of weight in the process. Yeah.
Well, good connection.
Yeah, definitely. He's a super nice guy, really enthusiastic. Yeah.
So did you end up making it to the Taconic Crest?
Nothing close. He was actually like, it's great because, I've gone on tons of these hikes, and a lot of the time, the Fish and Game Club, I mean, it's not a trivial hike to get up there. And so very often we'll just kind of hike up to the Fish and Game Club or a little above on the main artery and come back down. But this guy was like, I'm ready to keep going. So we went way up into the hill, and I found what I think is the beginning of the connector trail, but we took a different turn into what ended up being a loop with another trail that I'd walked that goes high up on the mountain, but does not actually connect. So I have a really good candidate that I'm going to explore later this week that I think kind of goes up in the right direction.
But the loop went into private property, is that the?
No, so that loop up there is all public property. It was just the other day I went up there, and I started on the town land and took this turn that kind of ended up basically going on the far side of the sort of mountain where we own the west side and the east side, and I started kind of coming around to the east side there. So I just took the wrong turn. That's all. And I figured out where the boundary lines are, which is actually really useful. So it wasn't a total loss.
Are there any other questions to Nate? I just have other updates to provide.
No, I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Tara sent out an update to the project steering team. I was just going to read you a couple of those highlights. This was from early September. We didn't actually have a meeting in September. Our next meeting is next Tuesday, October 8th, but these are the updates from early September, that she's received the engineered design for the road improvements and parking lot, and she submitted them to the grantor, who has to approve them. So that's been done. She's working on submitting a permit amendment to amend the current Act 250 permit, which covered the easement that we purchased from O'Donovan. So she's working on that. She received the parking area and wayfinding signs for Route 346 and Dean Road, and she's going to ask the road crew to get those up. She was meeting with Sarah Gardner from Williams College, who's the professor of environmental studies, who's going to be working on the outreach to Powell residents. She said that Nate has agreed to be the liaison between Parks and Rec and the Concom. Nate and Tara are working with BCRC on mapping. Concom will be working directly with Tessa McGann, who's the county forester, to collect an inventory of the land. And she also noted that we set up a meeting with the Green Mountain Club. So those were the updates from September to the steering committee.
I have one thing to add to that. I for unrelated work, talked with Tessa a little bit, just trying to figure out what Concom was going to do with her, and something that sort of brought my blood pressure down a little bit, is I know there was some confusion about whether this was like she was doing like a timber management plan, or sort of how all encompassing this plan was going to be. And it sounds like it's really going to cover kind of everything we've been talking about. And she said she's already reached out to a bunch of other foresters in the area. She's worked with there's a, I guess at Southwest Tech, there's like a forestry program. So she's working with those folks. So yeah, Concom is honestly like, there's not a whole lot we can do for her that she can't already kind of set up herself, but it is going to be a very kind of all encompassing study. And they're going to look at the water and the soil and the animals and the trees, and sort of that inventory process can be really comprehensive. So that made me feel a little better, at least.
Great. She seems really, she seems really great about it. I mean, she seems very excited about it. I saw an article in the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was actually her taking a walk on the land.
Yep.
So it's great to have her part of this project.
Definitely.
Yeah. One other item is that we got a recommendation for trail counters from the Williamstown Rural Lands, who manage Sheep Hill, among other properties. We do have to have trail counters to assess people on the property before and after improvements. So I gave that recommendation to Tara, and we were following up on their software that comes with it. And we just wanted to make sure that after the initial period, the software wasn't too expensive to maintain. But they were highly recommended. They meet all of our needs, the weather, everything you can think of, they meet our needs. They were a little pricier than I thought, but I think that it's an investment that's worthwhile, and that they can be, once we're done with this grant, they can actually be used in other parts of the forest, as well. And the cost is covered by the grant. So that was another update.
So is that like in motion then?
I think it's in motion. I will check with Tara to make sure. I think she was ordering them last week.
Cool.
But once they're here, we do need to install them. So we can reconvene. I think we talked about some areas, 3 areas where they could be installed.
Yeah.
So we can regroup on that once they're in.
Cool.
Okay. Is there anything else on the VOREC grant? Anybody have questions? Anything? Okay. Moving on to Clayton Park. I sent an email connecting Bill Cottrell, who is on the Concom side, going to work to assess, I don't know what you'd call it, the trail area, the wetlands area there. So I sent an email connecting him with the Hurwa group.
Mhm.
And so the introductions have been made. So I think the next step is waiting to hear back once that process goes through. I don't know if, we need to see if we can actually put a trail there or what species are on that property. I think they call it like the knotwood, or I don't even know. I shouldn't even speak. I don't really know what it is, but
So that's the assessment we expect out of it, and then bring the recommendations as far as whether the trail can be put there or not.
yeah, I'm most curious if they think that a wetland permit is required. I think that would be a no-go on our part. I don't know that it would be required, but I think they can probably, I don't know that they could advise on permitting, but they can probably advise on the species that are there, and that might cue us to whether or not a wetland permit is needed.
Okay.
So.
Well, yeah, and I think some of it is just to get an idea of kind of what because, Hurwat says this is a boat pull out.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, the hope is they'll be really excited about it.
I think so.
And since they've developed, or I'm sure they've at least been involved in developing a bunch of these boat put-ins and takeouts in North Adams and Williamstown, they're going to have a good list of people we can reach out to and sort of a process for how to go about doing this.
Yep. So that will remain on the agenda. Hopefully we'll get an update at our next meeting. The next item is park murals. We talked about a group of volunteers indicated that they were interested in painting murals on the skateboard and the rock climbing wall.
Mhm.
So I put out the link for folks to make suggestions or designs, and that is due October 4th. So after that, they'll take the information that they've received and we'll schedule a date for them and to invite the community to come and paint a mural.
Where did they put the link again?
The link was on the town's
Town's website?
Facebook page and in a couple of other local Facebook groups. It was shared.
So the idea is anybody could submit some sort of graphic that would then get painted on.
A graphic or ideas.
Uh-huh.
You might want to see there. I saw some ideas, people commented, and some ideas were like, oh, I'd like to see the four seasons represented. Or, just anything to inspire the mural, but artists will design it. Just some.
Got it.
inspiration
Okay.
for their-
That's cool. So we can feel free to kind of advertise that out to whoever we know and sort of send that link around and.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say it's only got a couple more days left. I
Yeah.
can send that to you.
Have you gotten some good responses?
I haven't, then the responses
Yeah, but
have
anyway.
come to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
to the Vista group.
Got it.
Yeah. Hopefully they've gotten a few responses. Okay, so next is new business. So the first item is the holiday tree lighting. Can you believe that we're talking about this already? So I did meet with a couple of folks that helped to organize that. I met with them last week. And so the date is Saturday, December 7th. And it looks like an approximate time frame will be like 4 to 5, but it might be like 3:30 to 5:30, you know what I mean? Like around that time frame. So with respect to Parks and Rec, we have a couple of elements for the holiday tree lighting. So that's first, we have to get the lights on the tree. And I know last year, Brian and another volunteer
Frequent volunteer.
spent time with a very tall ladder and a pole, and we're reaching at the top of the ladder. And so the recommendation that I received was to rent a small picker truck or a boom truck.
Mm-hmm. I've done that before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I think we're going to need to do that to safely, because I think the tree is a little taller this year.
It gets lit, like it's going to be out on the pavement here somewhere.
The tree, we actually purchased a tree that was planted.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so
Cool.
that
Okay.
it'll,
Yeah, he was, we had a tall ladder. He was on a ladder. I was literally pushing on the side of the ladder to keep her from tipping over it.
Yeah, very tall.
Yeah, let's not.
We don't want any accidents.
Well, yeah, Car Hardware, there's a rental place in Bennington.
Yeah, they don't have one.
They don't have one?
Yeah,
Car
Car had one.
Car has this it's like a towable.
Yes.
A towable one, which I have attempted to rent before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, something like that would be great and pretty easy
Yeah.
to deal with. And I'd be happy to tow it out here. I have a van that can tow something like that.
So that's one item. And then the second item is we have traditionally hired a face painter
Yep.
to, for the kids. And so I did reach out to the person that provides those services, and she does have availability for that time frame. So a couple of things with that, because it did run so long last year, would be that if we go forward with it, I would recommend that we limit it to kids 12 and under. Not that we don't want everyone to get their faces painted, but there is a limited amount of time, and people did miss things because they were in line in here. There was like 30 people in line at one point. That's
Maybe limit the number of designs.
Yeah, that's just, we would maybe have her pick 4 designs, not a catalog, like 4 designs.
Yeah, because I mean, she does great work,
Of
but
course, it's really.
some of the designs were very intricate and took a really long time.
Yes.
Do you think we could find a couple volunteers in town who just are kind of amateur artists that might be able to help out? Or I mean, it seems like sort of multiplying the number of people doing it might be a good way to shrink lines.
She suggested that she might be able to bring along an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
So I can ask her about that too. I mean, she was going through them. I mean, it wasn't too long. It was like 5 minutes maybe.
Well, I saw a couple that they were in the chair for 15, 20 minutes, but those are the people that
It's not just
had their
stencil you
entire
can
face.
spray paint over or something.
Yeah, she literally is an artist.
Yeah.
So with that, I wanted to ask Parks and Rec for permission to, if we can't find anyone that could donate a picker or a boom truck, to rent one, which at Car Hardware looks like it's about $350 for a day rental. And then the face painting services for a few hours are a couple $100 as well, about $200, maybe a little more. So I wanted to get feedback from the committee and see if anyone might be willing to entertain a motion to discuss that.
We have the money in the budget.
Yes, we have money.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'll make a motion to approve the face painting and the potential rental of a picker truck / boom truck.
It's a lot cheaper than medical bills, right?
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there any other discussion or anything else anybody wants to add to that? No? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
I
Aye. One other thing I wanted to add, let's see, so we talked about the fire pit, the fire area.
Yeah, doing something with the stone ring or something.
Well, for this event.
Oh, for this event.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so we thought maybe we could add s'mores to the,
Ooh, yeah.
and so.
I'm fine with that.
So, I volunteered to provide s'mores supplies. So
Okay.
I will do that.
One question, I worked at a summer camp and they had the people who were actually employees there toasting the marshmallows, especially for the
Yeah.
kids, just because there's
Yeah, of course.
I assume it would be a situation where there would be some people who would sort of roast marshmallows and pass them off to people to eat versus here's a stick.
We wouldn't have kids with them on fire flinging them.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think we would,
Then I'm out.
okay. I think we would come up with a system where, it would be where kids are right up to the fire
Mhm.
and that. So we want to make sure we have a safe.
Definitely.
At least have supervision, something that
Yeah.
does.
Something like that. Yeah. But great idea. I mean, that's everybody loves s'mores. Yeah.
Yeah, so that, and then the Pownell Elementary Chorus will be coming back. And then I think what else there was. Well, other things that they're looking into to kind of fill the time.
I
Santa
was gonna say Santa, the
Santa's
Historical
coming back.
Society, the goodies.
Yeah, the goodies, the gift bags, all of those things. So, so planning is underway and our next meeting isn't until the end of October.
Now, my wife hasn't said, but is PTG gonna be seeing about having kids make ornaments?
I don't know, but your wife is part of the team. So she couldn't make it this last week.
Okay,
So I will get in touch with her about our next meeting.
all right.
Yeah,
So this is like a separate group of people that's being specifically for the holiday.
yes.
Got it.
So the Historical Society, Parks and Rec, a member of the Select Board, and a representative from Pownell PTG.
Cool.
So, yeah,
Great.
try to cover all the bases there.
And then for the fire pit itself, actually making a ring out of rocks with,
They actually have one, right? Do you have? your-
I have a couple of fire pits I
Yes.
can bring up. They're just like half 55-gallon drums.
Yeah.
okay.
That's
So-
what it is.
They're the ones I bring up the last few years. So they seem to work great. They're portable, easy to dump out when we're done and get them out of the way.
Awesome.
And if you feel that we need more than one, I've got multiple I can bring up,
Okay,
multiple ones.
all right.
And wood for the fire?
Someone else is providing that, I think.
Steve Cope usually shows up with a
I
truckload.
was gonna say that's who.
And I usually bring up some to at least get it started till he shows up. But he showed up last year with like half a truckload.
Yeah.
Yes. He ended up taking
covered.
one home with him.
Yeah, I think it's covered. So, yep, got that. But once we get closer, we'll have to come up with a time to actually put the lights on the tree, which actually didn't take too long.
No.
So, and with the picker, if we rent one, I was saying like, we need it to put it up. The lights come down a lot easier than they go up. So I don't think we'll need it to take them down.
Mhm.
It's just the actual.
Just leave them in all year long.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, the next item is the town policies review, and I apologize, this is my fault. I didn't send those till yesterday. So I am going to table that review until our next meeting to give you time to look at those policies. And I'll identify what's applicable to Parks and Rec.
Do we need to like sign those pages at the end and turn them into anybody
I
or?
don't think so. I think the part
I
that
thought we
was,
were supposed to.
oh, you are? Okay.
Hannah, we're supposed to sign that, right?
We are.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, then we will get that done next meeting. The next item is our next meeting date and time. So I think maybe we should try to schedule something at the beginning of November. Because that would be, we'd have to come up with a date and time for the tree decorations. So I think we'd be looking, well, there's elections in early November. So 5th is out. I don't know if the 11th or 12th is Veterans Day. I think it's the 11th. Yeah, it's the 11th. So we'd be looking tentatively around Tuesday, November 12th, but I can circle back via email and confirm that with everyone that is a viable date.
That second Tuesday is the Conservation Commission meeting from
Okay.
7 to 8.
Okay, we
But
could do 6 to 7 or.
sure, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you for reminding me of that. I forgot. about
I
that.
just reminded myself.
Hannah, is there any public comment?
No, just
Okay. The only other item which I forgot to add at the beginning of the agenda is we rent the portable restroom in the park. And we normally have it removed in October. And I just thought it would be a good idea to wait until we have the mural painting event and
Do we
then
have the painting?
the painting of the mural event, and then I can schedule to have it removed. That's okay with everyone?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right, then with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All set.